Welcome to the Scientist with Heart Podcast, my open diary of academic life. This is a space where I share my personal thoughts and reflections on research, teaching, and university life. These are my own opinions, and the aim is to spark discussion, exchange perspectives, and gather insights from others navigating the academic roller coaster at the bench and in the lecture hall. Are students dumb? You might find that is a harsh question, but if you spend time in universities and labs, you will sooner or later hear someone say it. Exactly that. Sometimes it is whispered by PhD students who are helping in lab courses, and sometimes it even comes from the professor or group leaders themselves. They see students making mistakes and struggling in class or not performing in the lab the way it is expected. And then you hear this comment, wow, how can students be really that dumb? But let's think about this now for a moment. Okay, can we say this? Are students really dumb? Or is there something else going on? Well, and believe me, I heard the exact sentence several times. More than 10 times in my time in university. Shockingly often. So first, I think we have to understand something important. Not everyone belongs into the same education track. So in every school, every training system, every job, there are always a few people who are not in the right place. Maybe their real strength lies somewhere else, and maybe this particular subject doesn't fit them. So yeah, maybe even they are missing one or two skills that the job needs. That happens. And on the other side, there are those rare students who succeed everywhere you put them, and they are the superstars who seem gifted and in every way perfect. So both of those extremes are the exceptions, and they are on either side of the bell curve distribution of students, let's say. So what about this huge group in the middle, the majority of the students, the 80%, the big middle of the bell curve? I want to talk about those. Are these dumb, or part of them are dumb? Whenever I hear someone call a student dumb, I try to confront them gently and ask, what makes you say that? What was the situation? Why do you think the student is stupid? Just because they didn't know something, or they did something which one with experience wouldn't do? And then I also ask, what do you think is your job here? If you are an educator, or even if you are just a student helper in a course lab, for example, what is your role? Can you reflect on that? And then I also say it into their face. Your job is not to judge. Your job is to help, to teach, to guide. And here lies the whole problem. Many forget about their role. The role changes, and many forget about the role in the certain condition. Teaching is not about putting yourself and your knowledge at the center and expecting everyone around to be like the same. And it's also not about showing how much you know. It's about supporting the other people, the students. And let's think about how we all learned to walk. Did any of us come into this world already walking around, jumping around, running around? Of course not. Every baby has to crawl first. Every baby has to try, fall down, wobble, get up again, and then fall and fall. Until finally, with the help of maybe grabbing a table, a sofa edge, or holding onto a hand of a parent, the baby learns to balance and take the first steps. And in teaching, we are like that parent's hand. When a student is just starting, for example, learning how a cell works or how to use a pipette for the first time, running their first PCR, how can we accept them to already know everything? They have never experienced that, and they are the baby that starts walking. And calling them dumb for not knowing something or for making a mistake, that is like calling a crawling baby dumb because they can't run a marathon at age 3. It makes no sense. So what does it mean to give a hand, what I said? it doesn't mean you carry the baby everywhere. It doesn't mean you move their legs for them. It simply means the hand is there if they need to grab it. You give support when they lose balance, and that's what a good teacher should do, in my mind at least. And especially today when information is everywhere online, Google, Wikipedia, textbooks, talks, seminars, YouTube, students can read about facts for themselves. What they really need from us is a guiding hand when they start thinking for themselves, so walking, when they begin to walk around in the world of ideas. And that's where teaching matters most. And that's happening on all stages. The professor's role is to be that hand, but also students' assistants' role is to be that hand. But all too often what happens is that a student asks a question, maybe even a basic one, and instead of support, teachers or assistants, well, they kind of laugh and call them even dumb. And that's the wrong approach. Instead, we should try involving the neighboring student, ask what they think, ask to and encourage to help them each other and what information would be necessary to help getting to this answer. And the role of the teacher is also not always about giving a direct answer. Sometimes it's just asking the right follow-up question to help the student take those steps on their own. And of course, like everywhere, there is no strict rule here. So yes, sometimes one should give just the answer directly. But the main point I want to make is this: recognize your responsibility. Professors, group leaders, lecturers, they should all remind themselves that their role is not to carry the student, not to glue the student's hand to theirs, but simply to be there when support is needed. And the assistants who are guiding a lab course, for example, they should be also trained and prepared in this way, and they should know about this properly when they start assisting in courses. Just like with children walking at different ages, also students develop at different speeds, and some show talent immediately, some need longer time, some are less steady, and that's normal. This is why when we grade performances, it always looks like this bell curve. That's the reason why it looks like that shape. Some are on the stronger side, some are on the weaker side. Most are somewhere in the middle, so that's the bulk 80% I was talking about. And in the end, it is just good to know that they will all learn how to walk at their own pace. So what about you? Have you ever found yourself saying, this student is really dumb? Maybe you thought about it. And what was the situation when you thought this? And how would you react when your colleague says it? And do you laugh along? Do you make fun of the students who are slower than others? Or do you remember what you were like at that stage of learning? What are your experiences? Share your stories and let me know what you think about this. I think it's very easy to forget where we come from because every single one of us began at zero, and we all started as a clump of cells. Then we learned to walk, to talk, to read, to think. It took decades to become the people we are today. And nobody got there without help, without mistakes, without falling down and getting back up again. That's education, that's learning. It's a process. So my suggestion here is that instead of calling students dumb, we might reflect a little more on that and remember that part of our job is simply to be the hand that helps them stand up when they are still learning to walk.